You feel it, don't you? That quiet ache beneath the surface. That persistent sense that something is off, not just around you, but within you. Like you were born tuned to a different frequency, dropped into a world that speaks a language your soul doesn't quite understand. You've tried to blend in, to be what the world asks of you. But deep down, you've always known. There's something about you that sees more, feels deeper, and refuses to settle for the surface. And maybe, just maybe, it's not a flaw. Maybe it's the very thing that makes you extraordinary. This video is not for everyone. It's not for those content with shallow smiles and scripted lives. It's for the rare few who carry a depth they can't explain. The ones who feel like mirrors in rooms full of masks. If you've ever wondered why the world drains you, why small talk feels like starvation, why your intensity is too much for most to handle, stay with me. What you're about to hear will change how you see yourself forever. Not later. Not halfway. Watch until the very end, because buried in these words is the answer you've been searching for. This is your mirror, your map, and your permission to finally be who you are. Subscribe now and step fully into the power of who you were always meant to be. Ready? Let's begin. Sign 1. You don't just hear what people say, you feel what they mean. While most drift through life accepting appearances, you see the fractures behind the facade. You notice the hesitation behind a confident voice, the sadness behind a smile, the desperation behind success stories. You pick up on micro-expressions, energy shifts, hidden wounds. It's not something you chose. It's not something you can switch off. It's just how you're wired. This is what Carl Jung called dangerous perception. A level of awareness so sharp, so penetrating, that it becomes unsettling to others. You become a mirror, reflecting not who people pretend to be, but who they truly are. And most people spend their entire lives running from that reflection. So they call you intense. They say you overanalyze. They push you away, not because you're wrong, but because you're right. And they're not ready to face what you see in them. But this perception is your power. It may isolate you, exhaust you, even haunt you. But it's the reason you were never meant to be ordinary. Because once you see this clearly, you can never again pretend to be blind. Sign 2. You've tried to fit in. You've sat through the small talk, smiled through the social scripts, nodded at the weather conversations, but each time, it felt like your soul was shrinking. Casual interactions leave you feeling emptier than solitude ever could. Because for someone like you, superficiality isn't just boring. It's suffocating. You don't want to know how someone's day was. You want to know who they are beneath the roles they play. You crave conversations that cut through the surface and dive straight into the marrow of truth. Carl Jung observed this exact phenomenon in rare personality types. He spoke of the tension between the individual and the collective unconscious, the ache of living between two worlds. You're awake in a society that's sleeping, alive in a culture that rewards numbness. So you carry this tension alone, starved for connection in a world that feeds on illusion. And this is where it hurts the most. Because while you long for realness, others just want comfort. They want light banter, not depth. Validation, not transformation. When you can't, or won't, play along, they label you difficult, cold, or strange. But the truth is, you're not difficult. You're just honest. You're not cold. You're just uninterested in pretending. And you're not strange. You're just real in a world that forgot how to be. Sign 3. There's a kind of tiredness you carry that sleep doesn't fix. A weight that clings to you after a simple conversation. A tension in your chest that arrives without warning. That's because you're not just navigating your own emotions, you're absorbing everyone else's. Their anxiety, their grief, their hidden rage. It enters you like smoke through an open window. You walk through life breathing in what others can't express, don't acknowledge, or are too afraid to face. Carl Jung called this participation mystique. A state where the boundary between you and others dissolves, and you begin to carry the collective unconscious. For most people, this is a rare and fleeting occurrence. For you, it's constant. This is why you feel drained around crowds. Why you need to retreat into silence, not because you're antisocial, but because you're overloaded. You need solitude to sift through what's yours and what never belonged to you. But here lies the hidden danger. Emotional absorption can become a form of escape. When you're focused on everyone else's pain, you can avoid confronting your own. When you're the healer, the counselor, the one everyone runs to, it's easy to forget that your soul needs tending too. Over time, you become an expert in others, and a stranger to yourself. That's when the real reckoning begins. Because your ability to feel everything is only a gift when you finally turn it inward. Sign 4. There's a war inside you, a constant, invisible struggle between your true self and the version of you the world demands. You've learned to fragment yourself just to survive. There's the professional you, polished and palatable. The social you, light-hearted and agreeable. The family you, careful and restrained. All masks. All performances. All quietly suffocating the real you beneath their weight. Every time you dial down your depth, every time you fake a laugh or avoid speaking the truth, a small part of you goes silent. These aren't minor compromises, they're tiny betrayals. Over time, they accumulate into a deep, spiritual fatigue that no nap or vacation can cure. Your soul aches, not from overwork, but from underexpression. From being forced to play small in a world that couldn't handle your full light. Jung understood this. He knew that rare individuals often split themselves to be accepted. But this fragmentation doesn't come without consequence. It leads to chronic anxiety, depression without cause, and a haunting sense that something essential is missing. That something is you. Not the curated you. Not the version that keeps everyone comfortable. But the raw, powerful, untamed you that's been buried beneath expectations. And until that self is reclaimed, no success, no relationship, no recognition will ever feel like enough. Sign 5. Sometimes, without warning, it happens. You meet someone, maybe for the first time, and within seconds there's a pull. Like your soul just exhaled. No explanations, no masks, just an unspoken knowing. There you are. You've spent so long feeling like an outsider, but in their presence, something clicks. You don't have to translate your thoughts or dim your light. They get it. They get you. Carl Jung called this synchronicity. The mysterious alignment of inner and outer events that can't be explained by logic alone. It's not just chance. It's resonance. Like you've both been broadcasting a frequency only the rarest can receive. And for a moment, your signals meet. Time feels different. Conversations bypass the surface and plunge into the soul. You say things you've never said before, and they respond like they've been waiting their whole life to hear them. But this recognition comes with a price. Because once you've tasted that kind of truth, everything else feels hollow. You find yourself walking away from people who once seemed fine. You'd rather be alone than pretend. You'd rather wait than settle. Because your soul now has standards. One set not by ego, but by alignment. And anything less than real just doesn't feel like living anymore. Sign 6. You've always felt it, haven't you? That pull. Like something is trying to wake you up in the middle of the night. Not fear. Not anxiety. But a calling. A fire in your chest that refuses to be extinguished. This isn't about chasing goals or building a career. It's something deeper. Stranger. A cosmic assignment etched into your bones long before you could name it. It doesn't feel like a choice. It feels like destiny. Jung understood this burden. He saw that those who have integrated their shadows and awakened their true self often carry a profound responsibility. They're here to be healers, disruptors, visionaries. To feel what the world cannot admit, and to speak what others are too afraid to say. But here's the paradox. The same sensitivity that gives you this purpose also makes fulfilling it almost unbearable. Because to live your truth would mean abandoning safety. And stepping into your purpose often feels like walking into exile. This is why you've struggled to feel satisfied. Why even success leaves you hollow. You're not here to play the game, you're here to change it. To speak into silence, to bring light into shadows, to create what's never existed before. And you cannot do that by shrinking. Your purpose won't let you settle. It was never meant to. Sign 7. Buried beneath everything, the perception, the sensitivity, the depth, is a wound. One you've carried for as long as you can remember. Maybe it began in childhood, when you felt too much, too soon. Maybe it was the loneliness of never quite belonging. The pain of seeing truths others denied. The ache of being different in a world that worships sameness. This wound, this fracture in your spirit, has haunted you. But here's what no one told you. It's also your greatest gift. Carl Jung called it the sacred wound. A deep psychic injury that, when integrated, becomes the very source of your power. Because that pain? It forged you. It forced you to build an inner world rich enough to survive. It taught you to see in the dark. And now, because of it, you can guide others through their own darkness. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real. Not because you've avoided pain, but because you've alchemized it into wisdom. Your wound didn't ruin you, it refined you. And now, you carry a medicine the world desperately needs. But you must stop hiding. Because the final truth is this: your authenticity isn't just for you. It's for the countless others still trapped in performance, still afraid of their truth, still dimming their light. You are the permission they've been waiting for. The reflection that says, you're not broken. You're rare. You've seen the signs. You've felt the shift. Maybe for the first time, you feel understood. But recognition is not enough. This path, this rare, difficult, sacred path, asks something more of you. It asks for courage. Because to become who you truly are is the privilege of a lifetime. And the responsibility of a lifetime. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to stand out. Not for attention, but for truth. Not for applause, but for impact. The world doesn't need another person pretending to be normal. It needs you. In all your complexity, depth, and radiant too-muchness. Yes, some people will resist you. Some will walk away. But the right ones? They'll find you. And so will the work, the purpose, the calling that only you can fulfill. This is your moment. Step into it fully. Say it aloud. I am rare. Let that be your declaration, your return to yourself. And share this message, not with everyone, but with the one soul you know needs to hear it. Because your truth isn't just your liberation. It's medicine for a world starving for something real. Welcome to your frequency. Welcome home.